So now we see a switch into a more horror-themed thing, and the inclusion of zombies. Yeah, I know, they're not literally zombies. These are specifically bodies that are continuing to be maintained past their physical death by basically reanimation, what I would usually refer to as Type 1 undead. Yay! I don't like this. Like, okay. I know this is actually a complex topic, and these are supposed to be only a couple minutes long, but let's go into this a little bit. One of the things that has to be discussed for any long-term franchise is whether or not something belongs within it, whether or not something should be in it. In other words, should Star Wars have zombies? Just to use a direct thing. Should Star Wars have Cthulhu-esque Lovecraftian stuff? Should Star Trek have magic? Should Farscape have, I don't know, a decent concluder to its fourth season? You get my point. And so, these are arguments that fans have had for years and years and years. And on the one hand, I personally feel that some franchises basically shouldn't branch into certain topics. Now, that's just my opinion as a fan. But for example, if I wanted a big zombie story, I wouldn't be watching Star Wars, right? I have other franchises I can watch for that. But part of the other side of this is, as a creator, as a writer, I get the idea and the allure of trying to write something new within an existing franchise. Now, when I say new, obviously there's nothing new under the sun, so duh. But you get my point, right? So I kind of get both sides of this argument, and I suppose ultimately, and even though this is a total cop-out answer, the answer is basically, I guess it depends on how well you do it. And this episode isn't bad, it's just kind of there. If anything, what I like about this episode is the fact that it showcases why Anakin and Obi-Wan really did make a perfect fit for each other in many ways. Obi-Wan, and I wish they showed this more. In fact, to be blunt, I think this is actually the first time that the Clone Wars series has showcased this dynamic between the two. Obi-Wan is a planner, Anakin is an adapter. In other words, in the moment, on the fly, Anakin has good reflexes and instinct to make something happen right now. But Anakin has no real capacity or strength when it comes to long-term planning. We've seen his long-term planning strategies in the war so far. They're crap. But Obi-Wan is the person who is observant and patient and thinking several steps ahead, but contradictorily isn't really that good at adapting on the fly, right? Now, obviously this is contradicted by other things, and obviously this isn't an absolute, but I do like that pairing of the two. It makes both of them function as a better whole. And I always like the concept of teamwork when it's well executed within fiction, and I think this is a good job of that. I did feel bad for Luminara, though. Like, hang on, I wonder, do you think it's going to enter through the nose or the ear? Right? But it's kind of funny because if Obi-Wan didn't have a plan in mind, what he was doing would be incredibly out of character and in fact horrible. But it was fully in character because he did have a plan in mind, and Anakin was prepared to deal with whatever should it go badly, as he himself said. I'm actually with Obi-Wan on this. Learning as much as they can about how this works is arguably the thing that most people in fictional settings like this fail at, especially a zombie apocalypse. How many times, especially in the well-written zombie stories, did people just not study how it worked? The specific methods and vectors, the rules, if you will, that govern how they work. Obi-Wan was trying to learn as much as he could, and that'll be useful next week when we have to deal with these things again. I do want to say, though, that these things are horrible, and I think they're pretty gross. But whatever, what are you going to do? I guess that's all I've got for now, but I do have a side question. It's kind of a setting question. If Poggle the Lesser is like basically the leader of the Geonosians, why is she the queen? Does Poggle answer to her? Does Poggle use her? Is she a puppet? Is she using Poggle? Is she in favor of the separatist thing? Does she not care? Like the political dynamic between Poggle and the Queen just doesn't make any sense to me, and I'm very curious what they were trying for that. But anyways, regardless, see you next time, guys.